Welcome to edupediaworld.com. In today's class, we will learn about pressure. We will also talk about the difference between pressure and force and what is the relationship between the two terms. In the last class, we've learnt about force. We also know that a force is any pull or push. Now, what is the difference between force and pressure? What is a pressure? Most of you may think that force and pressure is same. Whenever we say that we are applying force, please apply force, apply pressure. So we think that these two terms are same. There's no difference. But that is not so. Force in very simple term is any push or pull. Whereas pressure, as flashed on the slide, is defined as force per unit area. When we talk about force, it is just the application of force, any push or pull. But when we talk about pressure, then there comes the area. Area comes into consideration. How is it so? See, the formula for pressure is force per unit area. Now, as you can see, we have an object. This is a surface. And on this surface, let's say this is a rectangular some object and with which we are applying certain amount of force on this surface. Now, this will have a particular area. So, only in this particular area, the force has been applied. So, in this case, that is why we say area comes into play. Area is the important factor when we talk about pressure. So then this force, the amount of the force that is applied over the surface divided by area is what we call as pressure. So the only difference is that force is just simple push, pull or any application of force. Whereas pressure is where the area is also important. And why do I say that? I will explain to you in the next slides. I will take a very simple example. You all must have seen nail, we use the hammer and we take a nail and we put the nail into the wall. So how do we do that? Obviously the nail is placed like this, the pointed end of the nail is towards the wall, whereas a broad end of the nail is towards us. And we hammer the nail like this on the head. So the nail goes inside very easily. Now just consider that, we place the nail upside down. That is, the head is towards the wall and the pointed end is towards us. And then we try to hammer the nail. So what will happen? In which case will we be able to put the nail easily into the wall? Obviously in the first case, because this is a right way of doing it. Why is it so? See, that is because in this case, when we use the hammer in this over this head, so and this pointed end is towards the wall, so what amount of area is in contact with the wall? Only a very small amount of area is in contact with the wall. When we hammer this, only this small area is in touch with the wall. So because we know pressure is equal to force divided by area, and in this case, because the area of this small pointed portion is very, very small, so when we divide force by a small quantity, which is the area, so automatically the pressure will become large. And that is why when we hammer this nail, we are applying force. So the same amount of force when we hammer onto the head of the nail, but its impact will be very, very large. The application of that same force on this broad end of the nail, the impact will be very, very large. That is because the area of the pointed end is very small. So what will happen is this nail will be easily going inside the wall. That is because the impact is more. Now let's consider the other case wherein we have the pointed end towards us and we are trying to hammer the pointed end. Now just tell me, see, in this case what you see is the broad end, that is the head of the nail, is in touch with the wall. So what is the area? The area in this case is large as compared to the area in this case. So now because the area is large in this case, the force, same amount of force is applied in both the cases, in the first case also and in this case also. So now when the same amount of force is divided by area, in which case the area is large, because this is a broad end, there's a large area. So the pressure will become automatically small. Pressure will become automatically small means the impact of the hammer onto this nail will be much less as compared to the impact of in this case, of the hammer in this case. So that is why we say that area, as far as the pressure is concerned, it plays a most important role. Now we will see a few more examples later. Okay, here is one more example. Now you all must have seen your school bags. So school bags, you must have seen the school bags will have broad straps. Why these broad straps are important? Again, apply the same formula. We know that pressure is equal to force divided by area, and in this case we know the broad straps means more area because the straps are broad, so more area. So when the area is more, pressure on kid will be less. That means area is more. So when you divide the force by an area where the area is more, so automatically the pressure, this quantity P, will become less. So that is why we should always use bags which has broad straps rather than using very thin straps, because if we use thin straps, again the area will become less, and once the area becomes less, obviously the same force, when it is divided by less area, the pressure will be more. One more example is when we cut the fruits, any fruit. If we are cutting, we use a very sharp knife. How is it that we are able to cut these fruits very easily? That is because the area which is in contact with the fruit, area of the knife in contact with the fruit is very, very less. Area of the knife is very less. So again the area becomes less, so force divided by less area, the pressure will automatically be more, and that is why we are able to cut the fruits very easily if we use a very sharp knife. Whereas if we use a very broad knife, then relatively the area of that knife will be more, and that's why the pressure will be less. So now we'll see one more example here. This is, consider that you have your hand and this is a very sharp needle that you're using. Now what happens when you prick this needle in your hand? Obviously there will be pain in the hand. In the other case, you take a pencil which is very, very broad and you try to prick the pencil, prick your hand with the pencil from the other end, that is, which is broader. What will happen? You will not have any pain as compared to the kind of pain that you will have in this case where you're using a needle. Now why is it so? Again the similar, we know pressure is equal to force by area. Now in both the cases we are applying same amount of force, whatever, let's say 5 Newton, X Newton, Y Newton. In both the cases the force is the same. So when this force is the same, but in the first case the area which is in contact with our hand, area of needle, is very less. So when area is less, the pressure becomes more. That is because this portion is less. So the pressure automatically becomes more, and that is why with the same amount of force, the needle easily gets inside our hand and we feel pain. We'll have pain in our hand. Whereas in this case, we know that the area which is in contact with our hand is this portion, which is broad. So area is more. So when area is more, automatically same amount of force divided by more area, the pressure will be less. And that is why we do not feel painful. It is less painful. A pencil is less painful than as compared to a needle. Now that we know about what is force and what is pressure, and also we know the difference between pressure and how pressure depends upon area. Now the next question is, does liquid or gas also exert pressure? We have talked about solids, but does liquid or gases also exert pressure? What is your answer? I will say yes. Both the liquids as well as the gases, each one of them exert pressure. Now we will see certain examples, like let's say we have a bucket and the bucket is full of water. Now I have shown that the bucket is got some holes. Now just consider that it's a good bucket. You have bought it new. There are no holes in the bucket. So what will happen? The water will remain inside the bucket. Now I make 3 holes in this bucket here. I make 3 holes in the bucket. So what will happen is immediately the water will start coming out of the bucket. Why is it so? Is because there is pressure that is exerted by the liquid. The liquid is trying to come out of that closed compartment. That is why the liquid immediately comes out of the bucket. So we can now say that liquids do exert pressure. Now in the other case, let's say we have glass. This is a glass tumbler, and again just consider that I have shown here 3 holes. You make 3 holes in the glass. So as long as there are no holes in the glass, the water will remain inside the glass. But the moment you make 3 holes in the glass, what happens is the water will start coming out of the glass. So this again shows that liquids exert pressure. Now, one more example is that if I make these holes at irregular distances, let's say first hole is here and the second hole is close to this and the third hole is much at the bottom. So in which case do you think that the speed at which the water come out will be more or it will be less? In the first hole, see, this is the top hole. So the water will come out of the top hole with less pressure. So it will just fall very, very slowly like this. Whereas in the from the second hole, the pressure with which the water will come out will be slightly more as compared to the first hole. And in the last hole, this is the bottommost hole, the pressure with which the water will come out is much higher as compared to these 2 holes. That is because, see, from the topmost layer till this hole, this much amount of water is exerting pressure onto the glass. So when you make hole, it will come out with great speed, with lot of pressure. Whereas here, only from the top layer till this place, the water is exerting some amount of pressure. That is why it will come out with lesser pressure, lesser force. And in the first layer, the pressure exerted by liquid is even much lesser. So again the pressure will be much lesser. So these examples show us that even liquids also exert pressure. Now let's consider another thing. You must have seen that on our gas stoves we keep some containers, and let's say we have water which is boiling. So in the first case we have the lid of the container, the lid is open. Whereas in the other container the lid is closed. So what will happen if we keep boiling water? What happens in the first case, the gases, because they are exerting pressure, so they will come out. All these gases, because the water is boiling, so warmer gas that will come out. Whereas in the other case, because the lid is closed, what happens is there will be a lot of pressure inside this container because the container is closed. So this is again one more example which shows that the pressure exerted by the gas in this case is much more because it is in a closed compartment as compared to the pressure exerted by the gas in the open container. And if in case this lid is loose, what happens after some time? This gas, the pressure will increase to such a level that the lid may even just fall off. So both liquids as well as gases, they exert pressure. Now we will now talk about purely about gases. What happens is, this is again an example that you must have seen, very, very common example. You all must have seen a balloon and the balloon is already blown up. So if you take a needle and just prick it, what happens is all the gas will come out and the balloon will become like this, Now when it is inflated, there is gas inside it, and when you prick it, all the gas will try to come out from the same hole. So that is because the gases are exerting pressure against the wall of the balloon and they are trying to come out every time. But when you prick it, now they get that space to come out, so all the gases will come out. So this shows that the gases also exert pressure onto the surface or onto the containers in which they are contained. Again, there is this girl, she's trying to blow the balloon. So what she's trying to do, she's trying to put air inside the balloon so that the balloon will get blown up. Now this is, and what happens is, in the other case you can see he is using some kind of pump to pump in the gas so as to blow the balloon. So but inside the balloon again, the gases, the air is exerting pressure onto the walls of the balloon. So as long as we don't prick it, it will be like the balloon will remain as it is. Once we prick it, then the gas inside the balloon gets a space to come out. So these are the examples to confirm that gases as well as liquids, they exert pressure. In the next class, we will talk about atmospheric pressure. Thank you for watching the video.